Well, welcome everyone.
Hello, hello, hello.
You get the best partners in crime, Abid and Stephanie today. We're going to be talking about Google Drive, and we're going to be talking about very beginner level. And so if you have any questions throughout the chat, just please feel free to leave them, post a comment. We also put a link to our resources in the chat. So feel free to follow along, make a copy of the slide deck, come back later to it, whatever you need to do. I'm going to also put the bit.ly in the chat again, and then I think we're ready to roll, Abid.
Let's take it away. Let's take it away.
So real quick, I am Stephanie Howell. I'm an instructional technology coordinator in Pickerington, Ohio.
And I'm Abid Patel. I'm an IT director of a multi-academy trust of primary schools from London in the United Kingdom.
And so here is our long agenda. We're going to be talking about how to get to Drive, what the menus are and the differences between them, how to create new material, how to create folders, how to share and collaborate with people, how to upload different documents to save to your Drive, talking about our favorite, list versus grid view. If you are team grid view, put it in the chat. If you're list view, don't even mention it. And then we're going to be talking about how to organize and search. So you ready to get ready to drive? So the first thing we're going to talk about is how to get to Drive. So Abid is currently in an incognito window. Incognito just means you're not really signed in. And he's going to walk step by step on how to get to Drive.
Right, cool. So there are a couple of ways to get to Drive. We will get started with first going to drive.google.com. Now, the way to remember how to get to any of the Google apps, it's usually the app name .google.com. So drive.google.com, docs.google.com, sheets.google.com, etc., etc. And as soon as you do that, it will take you to, if you're not already signed in, it will take you to this page, which gives you a sort of brief overview of what Google Drive is. But we're just going to click straight away on Go to Drive. Once you get to Go to Drive, you can then sign in with your email account. I'm just going to get my one. And then once you're signed in, if you're signing into G Suite for the first time, you'll be asked to accept the terms and conditions. So we'll go for accept. And then this will take you to your Drive. Now, the first time you sign in, you might get all of these pop-up windows just explaining how things are. You'll get an option to, if you're using a PC, you'll get the option to get Drive for your desktop. You'll also see a few pop-up windows here. Like I mentioned yesterday in the introduction session, so if you haven't watched that, do feel free to go and watch that at the end of this session. Google Drive, G Suite is going through a sort of rebrand. In the education space, it's still called G Suite for Education. However, in the corporate environment, it's now been renamed to Google Workspace. So if you see any references to Google Workspace, don't worry, don't get confused. It's just a rebranding of the name G Suite. So we'll just click OK to any pop-ups that pop up, and there we have it. We have, this is our My Drive. So basically, this is how you will get to Google Drive. So drive.google.com and then sign in. Now, if I also go to the, if I just go to the google.com main search homepage, you'll see in the top right-hand corner, you have the waffle menu, or what we like to call the waffle menu, but Google officially call the app launcher. And if you click on the app launcher, you'll see all of your G Suite apps there. you can then click on Drive, and that will take you to the same place. Again, if you haven't already logged into Google, it will ask you to log in, and then once you've logged in, you'll be able to go straight to your My Drive. And again, you've got some pop-ups, shared folders. We'll go through that later on, but for the time being, it launches you into your My Drive. Now, My Drive is your personal space, the area where all of your personal files are sort of kept, and that is how you get into Google Drive.
So just a quick review, you can go to drive.google.com, or you can click that waffle or the app launcher. I prefer the word waffle, it's just easier to remember. Now we're going to talk through now that we know how to get to Drive, the different menus. So within Drive, we have My Drive, the Shared Drive, Shared with Me, Recents, Starred, Trash, Priority. And we're going to walk through all of these different Drive folders or Drive menus that are on the corner on the left-hand side.
Cool. So we talked about My Drive. So My Drive is your personal space, just the area in Google Drive where you will keep all of your files. Everything in your My Drive is private just to yourself. It's not shared with anyone unless you explicitly share it, and we'll demonstrate how to share later on. But basically, anything you keep here will be accessible to you and you only. We will also take a look at priority. Priority is kind of Google Drive's machine learning feature. So what priority does is, as soon as you start to work with Drive files, you'll see them start to populate up here. You can also create personal workspaces. So if I'm working on several files regularly, then I can click on Create Workspace. I can say Useful Files. And then what I can do is I can then add files to this workspace. Now, I haven't added any files yet, so we'll come back and take a look at priority later on. And you've also got shared drives. Now, shared drives, again, you've got some pop-up windows here, which will sort of guide you along the way if you need to, if you sort of need any help, but we'll go through that anyway. So shared drives is kind of like your shared areas that you might have in your schools or organizations. So if you had a server and you had files in a shared folder on the server, shared drives works in a very similar way. It's shared across different teams or different members of your organization, and you can then collaborate and work on your files as and how you wish, and that's shared drives. And we'll show you. I can create a shared drive here, for example. I can click on New and then call it My Team. And then you'll see I've got a new shared drive for my team, and it says that I'm the only person in that team. If I want to, I can add another member to that team as well. I'll go for another user account that I've got. Click on Done, and then it will add that person to my team. You'll also see that I am currently set as the manager for this shared drive because I am the one who created the shared drive. I can also set permissions for other people in the shared drive so that they can only view files. They can be a contributor, so they can add and edit files, or commenter, so they can view files, but they can also comment on files. Content manager means they'll be able to edit, move, and delete files. And then manager is like the top level permission where they can do everything, and they can also add people and manage the settings. And then you can also remove a person from a shared drive as well. So next you have your shared with me. So any files that have been shared with you will appear in here. So if anyone shares any files with you, they'll all appear in a big massive list here. Recents, any files that you've recently opened up will appear here. So any files that you've clicked on, you've worked on, anything that is you've been working on recently will work on there. Starred will also show starred. So if I go back to my drive and I'll create a file, so I'll create a new Google Doc file. So to create a new Google Doc file, you would just go to the new menu, Google Doc, and that creates a new Google Doc file. And we'll give it a name. We'll just say my first doc. And then you'll see every keystroke I make, it automatically saves. I'll then close that down, and you can see it's my first doc is here. And now if I go into recents, you'll see my first doc is also here because I've already been working with recents. Now, if I go back to my drive, I can right click on that file and I can click add to start. As soon as I do that, you can see it now appears in the starred section. So if it's something that I might come back to regularly, or if it's something that I want to come back to at a later date, and I've got lots and lots of files in my Google Drive and I don't know what's going on, I can easily add it to start, and I come back to it very quickly on demand. Bin is pretty much self-explanatory. One thing to remember now is items in your bin are deleted forever after 30 days. So do remember that if you delete anything from your bin, you have 30 days to restore it. If not restored, then you just then they will automatically get deleted. Storage, we don't need to worry too much about in an education setting because all G Suite for Education schools get unlimited free storage. But if you're working in an organization, then you might be limited to 30 gig or whatever your organization, whichever band your organization has paid for. So that's just one thing to remember.
And I just want to mention real quickly, there's multiple different ways to add files, get to files. So just figure out which way you like best and that's fastest for you and use that way. So like starring, you can also do that inside of an open document. So just know that you can do things multiple ways and it will get done the best way that you like to do it. And so just a quick recap, we went over all the menus in Drive. We talked about the priority where it stores files from the workspace. It makes it a quick access for you. We talked about My Drive, where these are owned by you. The shared drive, which is stored files by a team. The shared with me is what other people have shared with you. And then the trash is view, restore, or you can delete items. A lot of times people get the shared drive and the shared with me drive confused. So just know that the shared drive is like team owned. You can organize it. The shared with me, you cannot organize it. So if you want to organize it, bring it to your drive and you can put it in a folder. But this shared with me folder, you cannot organize very well. It's just people sharing documents with you to collaborate, and just leave that folder alone unless you want to add it to your drive to organize better. So again, My Drive is what you own. The shared with me are documents others have created and they are sharing it with you to either collaborate or to view. And so why might you add some of those shared files to Drive? This is just so you can organize it. You cannot drag and drop folders in the shared with me folder. So it just kind of stays a little messy. You can also create lists with your files, so you can also back up and sync. Okay, also just know that once you add it to your drive, it will not remove it from the shared with me. It will stay in both places. And then just to add it, you just click this little drive symbol with the plus sign, and you're able to add it to your drive. All right, and now we're going to talk about the new menu, which we kind of already talked about, but we're going to look more into what it covers. And so just real quick, there are all of these different Google G Suite apps that are in this new button. You have Google Docs, which is like word processing if you're coming from Microsoft. Google Sheets, which is like Excel, so it's creating spreadsheets. Google Slides, which is like PowerPoint. It's your presentations. Google Forms are really good for surveys. Google Drawings are really great for diagrams, charts. And then Google Sites is your website. And Abid's going to show you where the new folder can be found.
So in the top right-hand corner, you've got the button for new. And if you click on that, you'll also get the menu there. You can also click on an empty white space in your actual My Drive window or any Drive window, and you can also access the new menu there. So it's the exact same menu that you'll get whether you right-click in an empty space or you click on the new in the top left-hand corner. So as you can see there, you've got options for creating a folder. File upload, you can upload any files. Folder upload, you can upload folders from your computer. You've got Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, Forms, and then you've got more. Google Docs, if you simply click on a Google Doc, that will take you straight to the Google Doc window and you can start working with the doc straight away. You can also, if your organization has put any templates in, you can hover over the arrow and then you can click from a template, and that will take you to the Google Docs template gallery. So you can see that I haven't got any personal templates here, but if I go to general, there are loads of built-in templates that Google supply you with. So for example, if I want to create a new essay, for example, I like the look of this one, I simply click on it, and what it will do is it will create that template for me. And if I just, as soon as I start to work on this, I can say that this is not actually biology, it's a physics essay. And then I will just close down that window and you'll see it then automatically appears in your Google Drive. If I then click on the More section, and by the way, it's the same for Sheets, Slides, and Forms. They work in a similar way. If I click on More, you can also create a new Google Drawings document, My Maps, Sites, AppScript, or Jamboard. We'll be taking more of a deeper look through some of these apps later on in the week. And then also you've got the option to connect more apps, which will take you to the G Suite Marketplace. And we'll also be taking a look at that throughout the series later on in the week. Cool. What's up next? Folders, I think. Right. So folders, we've shown that how you can create a folder, and we'll also show how you can upload folders, change the color of a folder, star, and also share a folder.
And we like to really stress the importance of folders because once you get going with Google Drive, things can get unorganized. So a great tip is to name everything that you'll remember and then create folders. Stephanie Rothstein, one of our friends at Global GEG, likes to say, every folder needs a home and every folder should not be homeless. So make sure you use your folders, and we're going to talk about how to create them.
Cool. So again, simply click on the New button in the top left-hand corner, and Folder. Again, you can also right-click in an empty space and then click New Folder. And then we'll give that folder a name, and we'll say My First Folder. And there you'll see it creates your folder for you. And you can see if you have your Google Drive in the default view, which is grid view when you log in for the first time, it creates the folder here at the top, and then all of your files are at the bottom. And it's nicely labeled there as well. So you see folders, and then you can see files. So what we can do is we can move some of these files into folders. So I want to move this essay into the folder. So you can simply left click and drag into the folder, and then you'll see it just disappears. I also want to move this presentation. So I can also, again, click and drag into the folder. I can also just right click on the actual file, and then I can go to move to, and then you can see the folder appears there at the top, my first folder. Click on that, and then click on move. We'll also show that you can also star folders, just like you can star files. You just right click on a folder, and then you can click on add to starred. There you go. And so now if I go to my starred section, you can see I've got the file that I starred, which was my first doc, and then my first folder, which I also starred. If I go back to my drive, you can also right click again, and then you've got the option to change color. So if I want to change the color of this folder to blue, for example, you see there, it changes the color of the folder. So if you've got loads and loads of folders in your Google Drive, you can see that you can, if I need to look at a particular folder and reference it really quickly, then I can straight away go in and then take a nice, it's a nice visual look to be able to see what color the folder is. I can also share an entire folder. So if I right click again and then click on share, it takes me to the share option. Again, I get some nice tooltips because I'm using it for the first time. So it shows me, so I can click on got it. And so I've got two options here. So at the top here, I can share with a particular person. So if I share it with a training account that I've got, so there you go, training@abidpatel.com. I can then give that particular person a specific setting. So if I want them to have full access, I can click on editor, so they can edit the folder, they can add and edit files in there, they have full access. I can also limit their access to their commenter only, so they can only comment in the files in that folder, or viewer, so that they can only view. I can also send them a nice message and say, here you go. And so then when I click on send, what will happen is they'll get an email from Google Drive directly saying, Abid has given you access to this folder, and with a link to actually get to the folder. And then once I click send, they have that shared option. If I go back to the shared option again, and then go, so right click again on the folder and go to share. What I can do here, the bottom part, I can say, at the moment, it's only restricted to people who are added and can. So it's only restricted to only people who have been added. So only this person, in addition to myself, can access this folder. I can change it so that any person within my organization can view this folder. I can change it that any person within my organization can comment or can edit on this folder. So I can do that. I can also, if I right click and share again, I can also change it so that anyone on the internet, so anyone on the internet, if I click on that, and then if I copy this link and share this link, anyone anywhere on the internet can copy and paste that link into their browser, and they'll be able to access this folder, and they'll be able to view the files in this folder. I can, even if I want to, if I want a worldwide global collaborative folder that I want everyone to work on, change the settings to editor as well. And then everyone on the internet will be able to add, delete, and do all sorts of stuff in that folder. And it's good if you're working in a public setting like this, for example, but just be sure to remember that you're not sharing any sort of personal data or company confidential information in that if you're doing that. And that's one key thing to remember with sharing anything, is just remember your organization settings and what can be shared and what can't be shared.
And just know too, if you want to share a folder, they're going to have access to everything in that folder. So if everything is edited in that folder, they're going to be able to edit every document in that folder. If you don't want that, then you'll have to individually share documents with how you want it. So maybe that Google Doc that Abid has in his drive, maybe you just want them to edit that. You can make that just editable and share with those people. And maybe the Google Sheet, you just want them to view. So you can kind of have control over that. It does take a little bit more time. We're just sharing a folder with the different view and editing access. It just depends on what your purpose is. Can you show real quick how to remove others from folders?
Yeah, so if you simply, again, right-click and go to Share, you can see everyone who's got access here straight away. If I want to remove this training account, I simply click on the editor button there, and then I can say remove. And then once I click save, that account won't have any, that particular individual won't have any access to that folder anymore.
And then how can you stop sharing a folder? So we just went over talking about removing people from a folder. And if you stop sharing, will you lose the file that was in the folder?
So if you're the user, so if you're the owner, you have access to everything that's in the file. But if you're the user who's been given access, then if you've created files in that folder, you will lose access to them, yes.
And then one more question, is there a way to stop sharing a folder with others after a certain time limit?
I don't think there is. I think there used to be, isn't it? And it was removed.
I can't remember if you can do that with folders, but you might be able to do that with documents. I don't know if you can do a whole folder though. And it might depend on your organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the settings.
Yeah. Depending on what I think Pelly mentioned that in the chat. Depending on what your Google IT admin has set the restrictions to, sometimes you can't share folders or files outside of your organization. Here I'm using a test domain here, which is pretty open, so we're able to share outside of the organization, but you might not have the option to have anyone with the link in your organization, depending on how strict your IT admin has set the permissions to.
And if you do notice permissions not set correctly, reach out to your IT admins, your Google admins, and ask them and tell them why you need it changed. Providing that why has really helped me explain to our IT folks about why we need to share outside our district, to share with parents. A lot of our parents do not have a school email, so they need to be able to access some of these resources. So just providing that why can really help them open up some of the settings that might be locked. And so again, why should we have folders? To organize our drive, to create documents in folders, to create folders in folders, which you can do, which we did not show, but you can have folders within folders, which can be really nice to help organize what you're trying to do. We talked about changing colors and then starring important folders. And so again, just to add a new folder, you can either right click or you can go up to that new and click folder. Okay, you can also move items to those folders by right clicking or by dragging and dropping. And now we're going to be talking about share and collaboration. And so Abid kind of talked about this earlier. And we walked through how to share a document in a folder, but you can see right here, owners. So if you create the document, you're able to delete the files and folders. You're able to add and remove files and folders. You're able to share or unshare files and folders, edit files, comment, and then view files. And you can see as you go down, editors can do about the same thing as an owner. And commenters can only comment or suggest edits and then view, and viewers can only view. Okay. Also talking about making a copy. So you can go to File, make a copy if you want to copy that document that someone has shared with you. And now we're going to talk about uploading a document from your desktop to your drive.
So again, to upload any documents, simply again do that from the new menu. So you just click on new and then you can upload a file or a folder. You can also again right click. You can also, if I stop sharing for a second, and then let me give myself access. I'll share my whole screen. So what you can see here is I can also upload individual files simply by clicking and dragging into the Google Drive window. So I've got an Excel spreadsheet here that I created, and then as soon as I let go of the button, you can see here I get a little window in the corner, and then as soon as I get the green tick there, it shows that the file has uploaded. I've got a Word document here as well. Actually, if I go back, I've got an image here. If I click on that image and then again drag it, and then you can see drag it straight in, and as soon as you get the green tick, you can see the image has been uploaded. If I stop sharing and just share this window again, because I can see that's really small. I can also right click, upload individual files. That will give me a window. And then if I just select the file that I want to upload, you'll see that I've just uploaded a simple text file, and I can just double click that. And what it does is, because it's not a native Google Docs document, it opens it in this preview window. I can then choose to open it directly with Google Docs, and then I can then work on that file straight in Google Docs. What will happen is, because this is a normal text file, if I make an edit, and then that's automatically saved, as soon as I click on close and go back, it creates a second file. And that second file is a Google Docs document. So this is the original file that I created, that I uploaded. But because I converted it to Google Docs, what it's done is it's created a new file. So that's something to remember if you're working with legacy files that are not Google Docs. I'll show you, I'll demonstrate Word documents. That doesn't happen for Word documents anymore, but if you're just working with text files or something that isn't a Word document or a Google Docs document, it will create a new file as soon as you open it in Google Docs. So that's one thing to remember, and it can get confusing. So what I always say to my users is just make sure you are, when you're creating new files, create them directly in Google Drive, because that way you can get around the confusion and you won't be confused with any new files that appear in Google Drive. I can also right click and upload an entire folder. So I just right click and upload a folder. It'll open a window and ask you just to select the folder. I'll select the folder and click upload. And then you can see here, it's now uploading a folder, and there were 3 items in that folder, and you can see I got the green tick, which means it's uploaded. Now, one thing to remember is always keep an eye out on this particular window. If your folder has lots and lots of large files in it, then you'll see a progress circle there. And the one thing to remember, really, really important, is when you're uploading a folder, you need to keep this Google Drive window open. If you close down this Google Drive window, you will lose the upload, and so the folder won't upload. You won't lose any of the files if they're on your computer. They'll still stay on your computer, so nothing gets deleted from your computer until you delete it manually, but you will the upload will fail. So you have to make sure if you're uploading anything, that you always keep this window open, and as soon as you see the green tick, then it's safe to close this window down, because that shows that it's uploaded. And you can see here I had a folder called some stuff, and in there I had my 3 documents. I had a Word document, an Excel document, and a PowerPoint document. So that's how you upload files and folders. You can also, if you click on settings and then go to the settings directly, there's a setting here that if you're working with Microsoft Office files, you can tick this box, and what that box will do is, as soon as you upload a Microsoft Office file, whether it's Word, Excel, or PowerPoint, directly into Google Drive, it will convert it to a Google Docs or a Google Sheets or a Google Slides document straight away. So that's something, if you want to keep them as Google Docs, as Microsoft Office files, then leave that unticked, which is the default. If you're happy to get them converted over once you start to migrate, you can tick that box and then click on done, and it will automatically convert them as and when you need to.
And the next thing we're going to talk about is grid view versus list view. And Abid, I noticed you've been working in grid view. Have you changed?
No, not at all. I just wanted to give the sort of authentic feeling as to how users will see it when they log in for the first time. And unfortunately, the default view in Google Drive is grid view. It's certainly not my preference. Stephanie Howell feels otherwise. But this is what you're seeing now is grid view, and yes, I was feeling very uncomfortable using Google Drive in this way. But there is the option to toggle to list view. So in the right hand corner here, you've got an icon here that allows you to toggle between grid view and list view. So if I click on this, what it does is it now changes it to list view. So you can see here that it's now giving me a list of all of my files. So again, just like grid view, it will put the folders at the top and then all of your files there at the bottom. You can also see some more information that we find quite useful. But this is again, it comes down to your personal preference. I prefer list view. If you're coming from a Windows environment, you might find that you're used to list view because your Microsoft Windows folders might be in list view, but you can also change those folders to a sort of grid view format as well. So again, it comes down to whatever is your preference. But to toggle that, you simply go to this button on the top right hand corner, and you can switch from list view to grid view.
And so this is what grid view looks like, the correct view. And this is what list view looks like. So you can see the difference real quickly. And so just a comparison real quick, grid view allows you to see a small visual of the document that you're looking for. I think it's easier to drag and drop to folders. And then list view, you're able to see a little bit more, just like Abid said. You can see the owner's name, the date it was last modified, and by whom. You can also see the file size. I typically don't need to know that, and I'm a more visual type of person. So I prefer grid view so I can see the small visual for myself. So in the chat, let us know what view you like best. And then both of them you can sort by name or last modified. You can do that with both views. You can also sort by folders first, and then you can see the file type really quickly at a glance. And now we're going to talk about organizing and searching in Google Drive. So the first thing that you might want to do is to stay organized, especially if you're a new user to Google. Staying organized at the beginning will make your life a lot easier. So make sure you name files that make sense to you. Organize it right after you create it. And then make sure that you place options and put your files where they make sense to you. You can color code like we talked about and that kind of stuff. So just make sure that you do stay organized when you're getting in Drive. Okay. So making folders will help, moving files into folders, storing documents that you most likely use all the time, figuring out naming conventions. I have a counselor, she actually uses a naming convention, and I think it's super smart. She's able to find her documents very quickly, and I wish I would have started off doing that. Delete files that you no longer need, but be very careful of this so you don't delete somebody else's files, especially since you do have unlimited space most likely. Just throw it in a folder if you're not going to use it. And then we're going to talk about searching. So with searching, I use this a lot of the time. It makes it really quick when I'm looking for a document. And it's somewhere in a folder, it's somewhere in my drive, I just don't know exactly where. So you're gonna wanna name it as best as you can, and then you can use the top search bar to find it.
So all I'm doing here is I'm just creating a whole load of new files, and you'll find what happens when you create new files in Google Drive. Everything is sort of called untitled something. So here I've got untitled document, untitled spreadsheet, untitled presentation. And then what you'll find in your Google Drive is it creates all of these files, and you'll find them here as untitled, untitled, untitled. And the more files you create, something that our team will show you throughout the week in this series is, for example, if I want to create a new Google document, I can go to docs.new. And then as soon as I click enter on there, it takes me straight to a new Google Docs document. And then I can start working on this document straight away. And then you'll find, again, what happens is it calls it untitled document. So this can get really confusing really, really quickly because I've got two documents which are different here. So this one has a piece of text that says test, and this one has a piece of text that says working on this. But if I go back to my Google Drive, I can see here I've got two untitled documents. Now, if I keep doing that without naming the documents or organizing them, you can see how confusing that's going to get straight away. So what I might do is just make sure to rename all of my documents. So I'll just call this test 1, and I'll call this one working on this. So I can see straight away that as soon as I close down these or all of these additional documents, you can see that the documents have now been renamed. So I've got working on this and test 1. And so just like we said, make sure to keep things organized. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to create a folder, and I'm call it uploads. So I know all of the files I uploaded. And so I want to select multiple files. So to select multiple files, you can hold down the control button and on your keyboard and then select, and you can see it's highlighting multiple files here. Or I can click and drag if I wanted to select multiple files that way. Or if I want to select all the files in a particular row in succession, I can click on the first one, hold down the shift button, and then click on the last one. And you can see it selects all of the files. But if I just choose the ones that I've uploaded, so I've got this Excel spreadsheet, this text file, and this photo. And then again, I can either right click and then move them to a particular folder, or I can just click them and you can see it gathers them all up and then just drag them into the uploads folder. And you can see they've now moved into the uploads folder there. So that's sort of an easy way to get organized. I can also, I've decided I want to put all of the rest. So I can create another folder here called everything else. And then what I'll do is I'll just click and drag. And then just drag everything into everything else. And you see everything's now disappeared, so it's nice. I can instantly see all of my folders. There I can see my first folder because I colored it. You can also see the little person there, which shows me that I've actually shared this folder. So I can click on it and I can go to share to see who I've shared the folder with. So at the moment it's shared with anyone on the internet who can view if they've got this link. I can also, if I want to just be able to see this more easily, I can right click and change the color. And so you can see I've got my folders. The default folders are colored in this sort of dark gray. And then the ones that I want to be able to see straight away, I've got in different colors. And I've also got this one in the start section, which is appearing there. So that's how to get organized. And now we'll look at how to search. So you're muted, Steph.
I am muted. So with searching, you can use this nice little search bar that's up in the top in Google Drive. And there's multiple different ways that you can search by to make it quick and easy to find exactly what you're looking for. So sometimes you might know what type of document you're looking for. You can type that in. and you're able to search by that. You could also type by when it was modified if you know the date of it. You can also search for who owns it if you know who shared it with you and who might have created the document. And then you could also search within a folder. So Abid's going to show you a live demo of that.
So Google, believe it or not, are very good at search. That's the first thing that they ever created as their app. So search, we all know how powerful Google search is. Just like how powerful Google search is for searching things on the internet, it's really powerful within G Suite as well. And so to search, you simply go to the top bar here, and then you can just start to type what you're searching for. So if I search for my first, as soon as I start typing, you can see it's giving me the options that it thinks that I might need. So I can see my first doc here. I can also see my first folder. And if I continue to type, you can see it gets rid of whatever it doesn't think matches my search term. But straight away, just by searching there, I can instantly find, if I click enter, what it will do, it will take me to this beginner's guide sort of thing, and it will show me my first doc there in the search results window. And then this is I think this is something that Stephanie shared with me, is it? No? Okay, not sure how that appeared there, but we'll just search there again, and you can see it's opened the window straight away. Sorry, go back to my drive, my first doc, and see it shows me the search results here. And so I can straight away open the documents as and when I wish. I can also click on this arrow here, and that will give me some further options to search for. So if I get rid of this search and then click on the arrow, you can see it gives me all of these options. So I can search for a particular type of file. So I can say I want to search for any photos that I've got in my drive. And actually, it's searching for any photos that are owned by anyone and anywhere within Google Drive. So anywhere within Google Drive that I have access to. So any shared folders that I might have access to, or any in my drive as well. I can also tick if I've got something that I think I might have put in the bin, or if there's something that I've starred, I can do that. But if I just do this search quickly, you can see I've got one photo in my Google Drive, and so it shows me here. I can also go back there, and I can say I want to search for this. I'll change that to I want to search for presentations. And I want to make sure that I search for these presentations in my drive. And then I can select the date modified. When did I modify them? Today, yesterday, or a custom date? And that will give me a particular window that I can search from. So I can search for files going back years and years and years. But I will choose select for that for now anytime. Particular name of the file. So has this presentation got any sort of name? So I can say I know that I've got one called new presentation, so I can put that new there if I want to. I can also search for any words that might be in the file, and then I can also search by if I've shared the file with someone. And then follow-ups. This is where inside a Google Doc or a Google Sheet or a Google Slide, if someone's left a comment for you and giving you an action item to say that you need to do this, you can also search by that as well. But that's what all of the options there are. If I just click on search, you can see it will find 3 presentations that I've got, one that's shared with me, and then 2 that I've got in my own drive here. You're muted again, Steph.
Goodness. The last thing we wanted to just touch upon is clicking. So double clicks will allow you to preview the document. If it's not a Google Doc sheet, that kind of stuff, it will just preview it. However, if it is a Google document, it will open in a new tab. If you do one single click, it will bring up the sharing options and other icons at the top right. And then right clicks will allow you to see the menu of options that Abid kind of was showing earlier. So make sure you do know those clicks. They will help you long term with just getting around on Google. And then I really just quickly wanted to share the time, because I have it on my school domain. I think it's a setting you do have to click. So right here I have this document and I want to share it, let's say with Abid. I can go down here where it says editor and I can, never mind. I swear I had this. Let's see. It should be under that share. And it's not working. Let me see if I can get it to work. No. So we need to look into that, Abid.
Yeah, we'll look into that because I'm pretty sure I've seen it as well, but it kind of went away. I'll just show the click options. So if I go back to my drive, if I click on a folder here, you can see what happens is it brings up a whole load of icons in the top right hand corner. So that's a single click. And then I get some icons here. And if I hover over these icons, it will give me a quick tip as to what these do. So get link. If I click on, let me go inside a folder and then click on this this doc here and then click on get link. What that will allow me to do is get a link to this particular document. So if I wanted to share this document directly, I can click on copy link. I've set the permissions to anyone with the link, so anyone on the internet can view this particular file, and then I would just copy the link, click on done, and then I'd be able to share that link in an email or on a website, for example. I can also, here is the sharing settings. So similar to right click, and you can see here you've got all of the icons which look very similar. So just clicking on that will take me to the sharing settings again. I've also got preview, which will launch this preview window, so I can see straight away what this document is. I can send it straight to my trash, and that will just remove it from my Google Drive and put it into the trash. And remember, I can restore it from my trash for 30 days. After 30 days, it will be permanently deleted. And then I can also click on the three dots, and it will basically take me to the menu with a few more options. One thing that I showed at the start was add to workspace. So if you go back to priority, you can see that I created a workspace here called useful files. I'll also create a new workspace, and I'll call this one important files. And so you can see I've got two empty workspaces now. So when you create a workspace, it gives you the option to add files straight away. So I can click on add files, and it'll show me all of my recent files that I've sort of worked with. I can then also go into my drive and then just go through the folder structure that is in my drive. So then I can click on everything else, and then I can find this document working on this, and then I can just select insert, and what happens is it puts it straight into this workspace. So now every time I come to the priority section in Google Drive, I can straight away see my important files and useful files. When you log into Google Drive for the first time, it will immediately take you to My Drive, and that is what is set as the default. You can go into the settings and then go to settings for Google Drive, and there's an option to change right at the bottom here in suggestions, make priority my default homepage. So if I tick that and then click on done, then every time I go to drive.google.com, what will happen now is it will take me to priority as my default landing page, as opposed to my drive. So that's what that's the priority section. And as you can see here now, from when we started using Google Drive at the start of this session, you can see it's basically populated everything with all of the recent files that I've been working on, and I can also immediately see my workspaces. So if I go back to my drive and then go back to everything else, for example, I can, if I single click again, I can then click add to workspace, and I can add it to one of these workspaces. So I can say, go to useful files, for example, and then if I go back to priority, you can see here now in my useful files workspace, I've got the new spreadsheet here. I can also, if I choose that this is not a useful file anymore, just click on the 3 dots here and then remove from workspace. And that removes it from the workspace. Note that doesn't delete the file from your Google Drive, that just removes it from this workspace here. So this doesn't become cluttered. But if I go into my drive and go to everything else, you can see the spreadsheet is still there intact. It will only be deleted if I delete it from Google Drive directly.
And so please go ahead and ask your questions in the chat. We have a couple minutes for questions. And so one of the questions we do have is, what are the other ways to sort the folders besides alphabetical order?
So you can sort the folders by default. You can see they're sorted by name. If I click at the moment, it's sorted in alphabetical order from A to Z here. If I click on this button, what it'll do is it'll now reverse the order. So it's now from Z to A. So that's one way to sort the folders and your files by name. You can also sort them from last modified. So if I click there, you can just select last modified by me or last opened by me, and then I think that's the only two, isn't it?
Yeah, those are the two ways. I've also seen people get really creative and add emojis. So emojis will add it. It will be like an A. So it'll be top of the line. I've also seen people add numbers. So they'll actually number their Google Drive folders like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that will create the order for them. So those are two workarounds. You can see that Abid just added an emoji. So you could do that, or you could add numbers. And Philly is saying that you can also do it by date. So last modified and alphabetical order. And then would that be last modified by date, I'm assuming?
I think so.
Okay. And so if there's any other questions, please let us know. Also, feel free to reach out to Abid or myself on Twitter. That's probably the easiest way to reach out to us. Both of our DMs are turned on. If you have questions about Drive as you get exploring, feel free to rewatch this video as many times as you need, to pause and restart it if you want to, or as you need help. But Google Drive has really helped me become organized and find my files a lot faster than I normally would on my desktop.
Cool. I think that is pretty much all of Google Drive sort of covered, really. So that's a sort of brief and basic overview of Google Drive. And this is sort of the main area that you'll probably be working with quite often if your school or organization is using G Suite for Education or Google Workspace, as it's now known in some places. But this is really handy to know in order to be able to start to get on top of your files and your workloads and how to keep organized. If you go back to my session that I did yesterday on the introduction, you can see that there is a Google Drive cheat sheet. But if I just do a Google search, if I just type in Drive cheat sheet and then click on the first link, you can see here it takes you to this really useful and handy cheat sheet, which will just go through a few of the basics of what we've gone through today. But you can also see our slides if you go to the Global GEG website, if you globalgeg.org, and then click on the Global's Beginner Guide section for this series. And then you can access all of the presentations that we've got in this series coming this week, and then all of the slides. So you've got my slides and my session from yesterday, and then you've got the Drive session and the Drive slides. We've got a session on Google Calendar coming up tonight here in the UK at 9 p.m. That is 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific. And then there's a few more presentations that are coming later on in the week. But again, you can watch these presentations live, or you can watch them on demand at any time you need to watch them.
And I just really quick put in the chat the help sheet for Google Drive. So it's a website provided by Google. I think it's really helpful, so you can go through that. I also put the link into the video from yesterday that Abid did, so feel free to also check out that. And I will put the website in the chat too. But real quick, we have one more question. Can you please show setting up a workspace?
Yep. So we'll just go back to our Google Drive and then click on Priority. And so I've already got 2 workspaces here, but I will create a new one, and I'll call this Fun Stuff. And then that simply just creates the workspace there. And because it's the first time it's created the workspace, it's giving me the option to add files. If I choose I don't want to add any files now, I can just click Done. And then I can click on if I choose later on I do want to add files, I click on the 3 dots, and then I can rename the workspace, hide it, or remove it completely. Or I can go to view the workspace, and then I can add the files again. So I just click on add files, and it shows me all of the recent files that I've worked on. So I will click on this particular picture that I've got, and then simply click on insert. And then if I want to add another file, just click add files again, and I will click this essay, and then click on insert. And there you can see it's now created the workspace for me with the files that I selected to put into the workspace.
All right, well, thank you so much for watching the beginner's guide. Feel free to also share this with any coworkers or anyone else that might be struggling to get to know Google. And again, feel free to reach out to myself or Abid or any of the other presenters that will be coming up throughout the week. And make sure to check out the website. I put it in the chat. It has all these helpful resources that you might need. All right, thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.